Moving forward, getting ready for South Carolina, going to be a big physical team, typical Coach Martin team. I know he's battling through some things right now. And I'm glad to hear he's doing well. We texted for a little bit yesterday, but glad he's feeling better this time around. But this is a typical team. They're going to, no doubt, because of their culture and because of the things that they value. I mean, they're going to create a bunch of steals with their defense. They're 10th in the country in steals. They're 32nd in offensive rebounding, which we're going to have to shore up our defensive rebounding, which we all know has been an issue for us at times this season. And so we're going to need to be very, very physical. They're physical. They're playing faster. They're 9th in the country in terms of transition conversion rate, so they get that thing out in transition. I don't want to speak for them, but I think they trust Kuznar and Hannibal and some of the point guards maybe a little bit more than they have in the past as they've grown in the program. So big, physical, try to bully ball, especially on the glass. It'll be a different type test and a stern test for our guys on Saturday night.
Will, because you only have a 5-game, sample size on him, was it hard to see? But I mean, he's got the same kind of players like you just said. But that's what I was going to ask.
I mean, yeah, Frank's back. I mean, they got LeCue down there, who's a good big kid. They just added a big kid at the break. I don't think he'll play, but they just added a big kid at the break. So, they don't have Kotsar and they don't have some of those other guys, but they've just got other big bodies. And then Lawson's back, who's a phenomenal talent. Bryant's been hurt, but he's a tremendous athlete. Kuznar played for him last season. LeCue played for him last season. Minaya played for him the first year we were when we played him down there, and then he was injured, I think, in our game last year. He's a lefty, very, very effective, very, very good shooter, both from 2 and 3, and a good offensive rebounder like all their guys are. Moss played a little bit in our game last year, so they've got a lot of the same guys, and the guys they replace, they do a very good job recruiting to their system and recruiting to their needs and their fit.
And also, you mentioned the other night about having more fun than you have in your 4 years here. You didn't have a lot of fun in the Sweet 16 run. I mean,
no, it was a fun year, but there was just our team wasn't. No, anytime. I mean, anytime you're winning, it's fun. The fun's in the winning, but there were some more challenges with that group. That was a harder group to kind of get together and bring together and keep together. This group's just it's just different. It's just a different group, and we've had that group. We didn't have a lot of guys who had been here for a while. I've been with Javonte and Darius for 3 years. But there's just some, we recruited everybody on the roster, but even the freshmen we had very, very strong relationships with in recruiting. So it's just a different vibe. But no, anytime you're winning, it's fun. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Like the last 2 games had to be fun.
Hey, Will, I was just checking in on Sharif. Is he
won't
going to
play.
be available tomorrow? He
No.
won't play. I was just kind of curious, from a leadership standpoint. I mean, just how different has it been this year as opposed to maybe some past years? Just with Trendon and Javonte, just talk a little bit about the development of those guys in that leadership standpoint.
Yeah, Trendon and Javonte and Days have helped us stay grounded, stick to our formula, stick to what we do. We all meet once a week and go through things and have honest discussions. Some of the guardrails we've put in place, we'll do the Tiger of the Week again today. Has added some self-discipline to the program that maybe we were encouraging, but we weren't regulating. And if you don't measure it or regulate it, it doesn't necessarily get done at the level that you want it done. And I think we've just got a lot better self-discipline. I just left, before I came up here, I just left the gym, watching Javonte get his extra shooting work in today. We just have a lot better self-discipline, and it starts with those guys. Those guys are our hardest workers. When your best players, those guys can't, when your best players are, your hardest workers, it filters down to the team. Jalen Cook's a hard worker. Gaines is getting in here and working. LeBlanc started work. You know, like it filters down to your team. When you do that, you get a chance to be really good. But it all starts with those guys in that leadership group. They've been awesome.
Coach, the road teams are winning more this season for obvious reasons, I guess. How much easier is it on the players when you're on the road? I mean, can they hear you better? The timeouts, what are some of the things you've noticed other than obviously empty crowd?
I think the crowd's the biggest factor with the momentum. You know, you don't necessarily have to, you know, sometimes as a coach you call timeout in reaction to the crowd and the momentum, and so you can maybe hold on to your timeouts a little bit longer and get through some momentum shifts in the game. I'm not sure how big of a advantage the communication is. I would assume I'd say it's negligible. I don't. There's maybe been one or two games in my entire coaching career as an assistant or a head coach where I've thought, man, the guys can't hear me. The arena's so loud, or I can't get the communication to them at the right time. So I'd say that's probably negligible, Glenn. But I do think, you know, the momentum shifts with the crowd. You know, just the environment's totally different. It's like playing a neutral court game when you're on the road. It feels much more like a neutral court type setting than it does a road type setting. And so
But when you're at home, I mean,
it's the same thing. You don't necessarily have the advantage that you would typically enjoy at home. Yeah, it works again. The flip, you know, it kind of flips on you when you're at home, I would say. I mean, I still think there's a little bit of a home court advantage just in terms of not having to travel. You know, there's some advantages to not having to travel, being in your own bed. You know, there's some advantages to that, but it's not nearly as much as you would normally have if you're the home team, or you're not as nearly as much of a disadvantage you would normally be as the road team.
So Rupp won't be nearly as intimidating for some of your freshmen, I would assume.
I mean, you know, we'll see. Rupp's Rupp. You look up there and you see the banners, and it's 23,000 people, however many. I mean, it's just huge. So it is Rupp. But I mean, I would say, and I haven't. I follow the SEC, but I certainly don't get to watch every game. You know, Kentucky, I know they lost to Richmond and Notre Dame. I mean, those are games they probably win if that place is packed with the momentum and how things go. I mean, those are games that I think they win when you've got a great fan base and folks that are there. You know, I'm not like I said, I haven't watched all their games, but I mean, there's a reason they hardly ever lose at home when that thing's packed, and a lot of it has to do with the crowd noise and the momentum of the game and that sort of thing. So it's still Rupp Arena, and you're still playing Kentucky, who's got talented players. But I think you look at Auburn has a tremendous home court advantage in our league, and Arkansas does. They go on a run, they start calling the Hogs in there. You feel like the roof's caving in. So there's a lot of good home court advantages that are probably negated a little bit. We got a good home court advantage when we're rocking and rolling in SEC play. Those Saturday SEC games, I mean, it's packed in here and it's loud and it's great. So, it's part of what we're going through. But we're just happy to be in an arena and playing games.
Thanks.
Coach,
You guys trying to have like a English? See who can use more proper English. You or Cobble here?
Just trying to
Lighten
vary it up a little bit.
Lighten the mood a little bit. All right.
Yeah, there's a lot of words out there.
Sheldon, what are you eating?
Sheldon, he can't tell you.
He's
muted.
He's eating something. Unbelievable. All right, what do you got, Scott?
That cheese. Kessler was eating at the game the other night during so I could eat cheese.
I'm sure Cobble's eating at some local restaurant. That's why his camera.
Or he's pumping gas. One of the two.
All right, Scott, you've got a question.
I do.
Yeah,
and it was very observant of you to notice that gymnastics is playing Arkansas back to back. So they added a meet for the schedule.
I can't.
But this is the real.
This is the SEC one, right?
This is the SEC one tonight. Yeah.
Very, very good. Very good. Basketball coaches think about the bigger world around them. Hey,
We actually watched the end of the meet last week
did you?
in Mississippi. When we got to the room, we had it on our phones and on the screen, so we were watching the end of it. We saw the 10 from our
Oh,
sophomore.
you did?
Yeah.
You did get to see the 10? Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty good, obviously. You're in the middle of this 3-game homestand. Do you try to, and this is crucial, because then you go to Kentucky and you go to A&M, and you have these, they're all big games, I know, but have you tried to emphasize holding serve at home, the importance of this homestand that you're in the middle of, or anything like that, or do you never try to, do you try to go the opposite and avoid doing that, trying to emphasize games over other games?
Well, we don't ever talk about holding serve or anything like that, because I feel like that's an avoidance goal. But we do talk about being the best we can on our home court, making sure that we're an extremely tough team to play on our home court. You got to win your home games, and you want to win your home games, especially in the league. And so we spend more time talking about what's our formula for winning at home, what's our formula for giving ourselves an opportunity to play well, to focus, to do what we need to do to be successful at home. So we spend more of our time talking about that as opposed to, hey, we have to do this, or, we've got to, and we literally, we prepare the same way. It's every, we're in our routine now. Every Thursday's the same, every Friday's the same, Saturday we play, Sunday's the same, Mondays, what I'm saying? It's the same rhythm every week, and so it's, our guys, I think routine helps with your consistency. We're consistent with what we do, and I think that helps our guys, so we're not guessing and trying to figure things out. And I think hopefully that'll help us be good at home.
And if I may, a quick follow-up. You guys have obviously come up with just really good at the last 2 games to start with, and this just seems to be, just watching the games from afar. I wasn't able to go to the game this past week, but in person. But it just seems like you guys, there's a lot of intensity, everybody's into the game, and maybe a little bit more so than earlier in the season. Yes or no?
I think that's a fair observation. I think we've picked it up the last week or so. We've gotten off to good starts in all of our games. Even St. Louis and Florida, where we lost, we've gotten off to good starts. It's just been able to sustain it. We've just been up and down and up and down. We haven't been able to sustain it. But I do think our energy has been great. I think our bench energy has been great. Our guys are, we've defined some responsibilities, and our guys are taking that seriously and doing what they need to do, and understanding the impact they can have on our team and on the game, whatever they're doing, whether it's on the court, on the bench. Even you look at Trendon Watford, when Days picks up his charge, he's on the bench. He's out there almost on the court calling the charge. There's a lot of good stuff with that. And, I tell our guys all the time, we can't control a lot of things, but we can control which team's the most excited to be there. And we can control who's the most enthusiastic team that night. And that's what we try to do. I actually talked to Dee Dee about that a little bit yesterday.
Did you?
Yes.
What'd she say?
She's all about energy. I don't know if you guys knew that from covering her.
She is. I like your avoidance goal. That's a cool term. Kind of getting back to Glenn and a little bit what you touched on. Is there more juice when you go on the road because it's different? It's new. It's not the routine.
We've only been
Does
on.
it feel like a reward, almost now in this day and age?
No, not really.
Okay.
You're still playing on the road on foreign rims, and you've had to travel, and you've been on buses, and there's still some of the hazards of being on the road. I just think during the course of the game, you're able to withstand some runs a little bit better. You're able to just stay on your feet. Sometimes you're wobbly. The whole goal on the road is just not to get knocked down. And I think you're able to wobble for a little bit longer and stay on your feet to hopefully get yourself back in the game. You look at our game at Florida, we got down 10, we still got it back. That thing with the crowd may have gone from 10 to 20 and it'd have been lights out. And so I think there's, I don't know if that answers you and Glenn's question, but I think there's, you're able to hang in a little bit better.
I always think there's different pitfalls for the coaches versus the kids when they're on the road. Obviously, the coaches are worried about everything. The kids are kind of worried about the games. So I always feel like it might be easier on the kids. A different question is, and it's not meant to be comparison. It's more inquisitive. Is who do you think is doing a better job? Certainly, they're all handling it very well. But your veterans sharing the ball, or your rookies realizing their roles and excelling in them? It's very, to me, it seems rare that you're getting them both at such a high level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's all of them. I'm not trying to dodge your question, but you can't have one without the other. It doesn't work. And I think, I clearly sat down and met with everybody on their responsibilities. You have a responsibility chart in their locker. Everybody knows what everybody else's responsibility is. It's in their locker at home. We take them on the road. We set up the locker room on the road like we do at home, and it's in their locker room. Like, it's very clear what you need to do to help our team win. And I think everybody knows that. And, it's both groups being able to mesh, and they hang out with each other off the court. That we've got a really, really we've got a really, really good group, and so that certainly helps as well. But you can't have one without the other. If the veterans don't lead and the veterans don't do what they do, then the freshmen don't know who to follow, and then if you've got other people that are trying to pick off guys over the court, it just doesn't work. But we've found the right rhythm. We've got the right chemistry now, and now we've just got to continue to be consistent, continue to lock in, continue to do what we need to do every day. But it's a total team effort. I mean, my staff works on it every day. Our support staff works on it every day. I mean, everybody's important. You got to understand now. I mean, you run a program like this, a manager can throw things off, and so like your managers. I mean, everybody who touches our players is extremely, extremely important, and so it's a total team effort from everybody, top to bottom.
After watching the film, was the defense the most complete effort you've had against a quality opponent in a long time?
I mean, it was good. I mean, we had some, we went over some things yesterday that I certainly think we need to continue to improve, continue to get better in. But I thought our effort and our energy was as good as we've had in a long time.
Okay, we'll wrap up with the line.
Coach, with Coach Martin not being able to be at the game, I mean, what can you do to try to take advantage of that? Is that just kind of a natural advantage, or how do you react to that?
Well, it can work both ways. I mean, your guy. I mean, we had this situation earlier in the year in the Sam Houston game where Bill coached us, and so I mean, Bruce, who's coaching him, has been with them for a long time. He's been with them 5 years. He's a veteran coach, and you've got culture and you play like they do. I'm not. He makes a big difference. Don't get me wrong. He's a heck of a coach, but they're gonna play the way they play. They're gonna show up. They're gonna be physical, and I think a lot of times, just like you've seen with us over the course of some seasons, you can get a bump, an emotional bump. I think it can be a benefit sometimes to that team. You look at, I'm not sure if you were at that Tennessee game a couple years ago. Probably when you walked in the gym and heard we were playing without Tremont Waters, you were ready to walk out and start writing your story about how we got beat. But your team can get an emotional bump. Now, can you sustain that over 3 or 4 games? That's not sustainable. But for one game or 1 or 2 games, you can certainly get, a bump. Look at us when Trendon went down. Look at us when Cam went down. Like, you can get a bump for that one, when Javante was out for the Nichols game. Like, you can get a bump for one game. Now, it's hard to sustain that. And so I do think that South Carolina will play extremely hard tomorrow. They'll be extremely excited. You know, they haven't played in a while. This is only their second SEC game, and I think they'll get a bump from the emotional, just the emotion of playing without coach and playing for coach, and and their culture is so strong with what they do that I think it will. I think there'll be some benefit for them tomorrow in that situation. Now, like I said, if he's out for 3 games, I think that benefit goes down in games 2 and 3. You eventually revert back to the mean. You just eventually revert back. But I think you can certainly get some bump out of that.